Hello, and welcome back to another Doctor Who action figure review. In today's review, I'm taking a look at the History of the Daleks number 2, which is from the Dalek Invasion of Earth 1964. Once again, these were very kindly sent to me by Al Duar to review ahead of their release, so a massive thank you to Al, and let's begin by taking a look at the packaging. The figures come packaged in the standard window box, featuring the TARDIS, and information about which Dalek story these figures are from. Then, on the back of the box, we get treated to a look at the figures inside, as well as a synopsis about the Dalek Invasion of Earth, and also a history of these Dalek props. Again, this is a really cool idea, very much aimed at collectors. I think it's really great, really fun. And then, of course, just like the other History of the Dalek set, we are treated to a lovely backdrop as the insert to the box. And as you can see, it's the Dalek spaceship in the landing area, which has been beautifully rendered, and you can even see there's some Daleks milling about inside. That's great. I think that's really nice. It's a great backdrop. The figures look lovely alongside it. So here we are, the two Daleks. So what we have here is the standard Dalek Invasion of Earth drone, the silver drone, and then we have the Supreme Dalek, or the Dalek Supreme, or the Black Dalek. I think it's usually referred to as the Black Dalek in 60s Doctor Who. So these are both technically re-releases. The standard drone we have only seen released once, and that was in the SFX wave, which meant that the figure was quite expensive to get because it had all the electronics, and it also meant that army building was quite difficult, and I think they were just quite hard to get hold of just in general. So I am actually really happy that this has come out as a standard figure. I was always hoping that they would release a standard version. And then of course we have the Supreme Dalek, which was originally released in the San Diego Comic-Con pack with the first Doctor, so again, obviously quite a rare one, an easy one for people to get hold of, but both of them do have slight differences to their original releases, but I imagine that both figures are going to be very welcome to people who missed out on either the San Diego Comic-Con set or the original SFX version. So let's begin looking at the drone. So it's basically exactly the same as the SFX Dalek. And of course, this Dalek is very much a modified Dead Planet Dalek. It's basically the same sculpt as the one featured in the History of the Dalek set 1, just with a few slight modifications. So the main things to point out are, of course, the enlarged base. Just like with the other History of the Dalek set, they've added these light scuffs and wash over the top of it, which just gives it a little bit of a worn, textured look. I really like that they've done that. It just makes them feel that they're a bit more worn, that they're a bit more like real props. Then, of course, we have the circular disc on the back. This is in a glossy grey, and then you've got the small little nubbin in the middle, and that is just stuck right on the back. And then we have a look at the eye stalk. So the eye stalk is different from the Dead Planet ones. The Dead Planet ones have more rings on it. This has the more traditional number of rings that we see on later Daleks. And of course the thing about this one is that we have the black central rod. The circular piece in the dome is silver, like the rest of the dome. And then the actual orb, whatever you want to call it, the eye part on the end of the stalk is silver with a black ring and a white iris. Here all the paint apps are really nice and crisp. Everything is kept exactly where it needs to be. There's no bleeds. Again, just like with the History of the Daleks set, the silver on these Daleks are much brighter, and I unfortunately wasn't able to do a comparison to the Dead Planet Dalek last time because I don't have access to any of my Doctor Who figures because they're in lockdown. However, after doing that review, I went over to my parents' house and I got my brother to get the figures out of the house for me and hand them over to me over the garden gate. Rather stupidly, I didn't pick up the SFX Dalek Invasion of Earth Dalek because I'm an idiot, but I have got the Dead Planet Dalek original release here. So here is side by side with the other Dead Planet Dalek from the History of the Dalek set. And you can see that the blue is ever so slightly different shade of blue compared to the other Daleks. And I'm not sure if you can see this so well on camera, but in hand, they are a much brighter, shiny silver, and they look great. They look so nice together. Really love that. Then all of the details around the neck bin are really well done. No bleeds here. All the silver for the rods are all neat and tidy, and the sculpting on the mesh is very good. Same if we go down to the shoulder section. There's no scuffs or bleeds or anything like that. The matte grey contrasting with that bright silver looks really nice. Same again with the appendages, the black plunger, everything is neat and tidy. Again, the ball joints are painted silver. There's a little bit of stiffness, but there's no paint rub, which is the main thing. And then we move down to the skirt and the hemispheres. For the most part, all of the paint apps are nice and crisp. There's a little bit of bleed here and there, but not too bad. There is some of that slight mix of colours, the lighter blue and the darker blue, which I mentioned with the first History of the Daleks set, but not quite as severe as with that one, so that's really good. Overall, it's a lovely Dalek, and it's just great to have another one of these on the shelf because they were so difficult to get hold of the first time round. Then we move over to the Black Supreme Dalek. So, like I said, this was the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. For the most part, it's basically exactly the same. The black of the Dalek is slightly more black. The original one is kind of a bit more matte. Not to say that this one is glossy, this one's matte as well, but it just feels like a bit more of a darker black. The other one seems a bit greyer, although that could be dust. This has been sitting in a cabinet at my parents' house for ages, and I haven't dusted in a long time, so it might just be dust, it might be the same colour. But for the most part, everything is exactly the same. However, there are a few alterations when we get to the eye stalk. Now, the eye stalk on this one, the first major difference is the iris. Just like with the History of the Daleks set 1, the iris on this Dalek is a smaller one, and they've opted to do that for the Supreme Dalek, which I think is a good choice. And it also makes it more different if you've got both versions of the Supreme Dalek, so that's good fun. And then if you look at the eye stalk, you'll see that the full stalk is black. Now, on the original figure, the full stalk was silver, and unfortunately, neither are correct, because actually that rod on the eye stalk is silver and black in the episode. And what's funny is, if you remember, there was a black and white version of this Supreme Dalek, and in that San Diego Comic-Con set, they got it right. The colour is black and silver. Even though this is another release of this figure, it's still only that black and white version that has the correct colours on the eye stalk, which is quite funny. Again, it's not a massive issue. It's a very easy fix if you want to just stick a bit of silver paint on there, but something that I feel, it's worth mentioning. And then if you look around at the shoulder section, all of the silver, again, bright silver, just like the other Dalek. There's a bit of bleed around the sort of shoulder band section. As you can see, it's just going onto the skirt and onto the shoulder bit beneath. It's not huge, but it is something to look out for. I actually didn't notice it until really sitting down to do this review. Then if you move down to the skirt, all of the hemispheres are really well painted. There's no real bleed or anything like that. You can see there's a little bit of fringing on the back, just a little bit of excess plastic where it's been taken out of the mould. And then, of course, this Dalek also has the disc on the back. Again, that's the same grey. And then on the back, you can see that they both have the discs, but on the original release it was silver, and this release has it in grey, which I think is probably closer to what we see in the episode. And just like the other sets, this Dalek's enlarged fender has the same wash and scuff marks. Then we move on to the articulation, and, it's Dalek toy. It's the same articulation as any Dalek toy you've ever had. So we've got articulation at the dome that can go all the way around. The eye stalk pivots up and down. And I should mention, and I didn't mention this in the History of the Daleks set 1 either, the eye stalks on these guys are very bendy. Look at that. Whoop. And I'm guessing that's just so that if your Dalek takes a tumble, it's less likely that the eye stalk is going to snap. That is not to say that if you really forced it, it wouldn't snap. I imagine it probably would. But the Dalek Invasion of Earth ones in particular, the eye stalks feel quite bendy. The gun stick is slightly rubbery, but like the plunger section, this is still a very hard plastic, so this would snap if you dropped it from a great height. We've got articulation here, ball-jointed sucker gun stick. Again, with the eye stalk, it's fixed in, so you can't pull it out, like with the early Dalek toys, which is great. And then, of course, he's on 3 wheels, 2 at the back, and the fully rotated one at the front. So you can roll your Dalek in all directions. We are the masters of Earth. We are the masters of Earth. So really, that's kind of it for this set. Overall, I'm really pleased that we've seen a second release of the Dalek drone because of how hard it was to get. And although I already own the original Supreme Dalek, I'm sure a lot of other collectors will be really pleased to see that the Supreme Dalek has been re-released as well. So overall, I think this is a really good set, really good if you want to army build some Dalek drones, and obviously if you want to get yourself a Supreme Dalek. As ever, these sets are £20, they're going to be exclusive to B&M, and they should be out towards the end of the month. So keep your eyes peeled. Once again, thank you to Al Juar for sending these to me ahead of their release to review, and Stay tuned for more reviews coming to the channel very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.